What's up, everyone? David Dudley back at you again. And yes, this is going to be discussion time. You guys seem to be loving this discussion time. So if you're new to the channel, go back on some of my content. Surf around on my channel. I just did a June bug, when to throw June bug colors and regions that it's best in. I did a video on green pumpkin and watermelon. I like doing these discussion videos, and evidently you guys like it too. So we're gonna talk today about bass fry. And you know, this is that time of year when, you know, a lot of bass fry just starts roaming around in clouds. And if you don't know it, if you're not knowing what I'm talking about, bass fry is basically once they hatch, they come up and they all start popping out like, I'll just picture them like little chickens, like popcorn, pop, 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 pop. All of a sudden they're swimming around and going, hey, hey, hey. And then they get in this big ball. And then typically you have the male who's going to sit there and guard them, okay? So you got what we call fry guarders. You're going to hear me reference that in this video a lot. So if you hear me saying fry guarders, that's what I'm talking about. So some of the best lures, okay? Some of the best lures that I like to throw this time of year is going to be, number one, a wacky worm. And I'm going to discuss why it's a very powerful lure to throw this time of year. Two is going to be topwater. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why topwater is very good for this time of year. Okay, they're probably my two top best, and I'm going to explain to you why the Texas rig or bottom bouncing baits does not do well this time of year. Okay, so let's start off with this. My number one choice I'm going with is going to be the wacky worm. Common sense says, you know, I like a wacky worm. You guys know that. It's kind of like my drug. I love a wacky worm. I love a wacky worm everywhere I go, every time of the year. But why is a wacky worm going to be my first choice versus a Texas rig? A Texas rig dominates. It really dominates during the heat of the spawn. And what I mean by that is when those eggs are on the bottom, say they have their nest or their little spot that they're laying their eggs, Texas rig is going to be a danger to their eggs on the bottom. Why? Because a Texas rig is on the bottom and it's coming through their eggs. That bass has incredible eyesight. Like he can look down and see all his eggs. We can't see it, but he knows where the majority of his eggs are in that nest or whatever. Okay, so a Texas rig coming across the bottom that time during the spawn time of the year is going to be pretty good. Now, once you get to where a lot of fish have already hatched, the fry has come up, the eggs have hatched, they're protecting them. Why is a Texas rig not going to be good? Because that bass is going to see it come through his nest or through his nest, and he's like, there ain't nothing there. Now watch this, okay? Y'all are going to love this. I'm going to my map, okay? So say we got a nest here, and this is what I want y'all to understand. Say this is the area that this fish, see if I can draw, right? This fish is protecting this. Now, like I explained before, when the fry first hatch out, they're still going to be around this nest, but they're not going to be like eggs on the bottom, right? So then all of a sudden, they, like popcorn, pop, 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 they start hatching. Then you'll watch this bass just do all kinds of crazy patterns, right? Well, pretend this was now this is the big ball of fry. I'm going to put F on here. This is the big ball of fry. He is doing nothing but huddling them up. So that ball of fry may go over here. He's like, y'all stay right here. And then that ball of fry might go over here, F. And he's like, he comes back over here, and he's like, nah. So you got a ball of fry that's floating around, and you bring your Texas rig across this bed, Texas rig. Man, I don't understand why he won't bite. Well, he can see this ball of fry this far up off of his nest, and you bring it through. Now, we're going to talk about a wacky worm. Why is a wacky worm best? So let's go here. Map number 2. Let's just say you have a big ball of fry. I reckon that's the right F. Whatever. You guys get the point, right? Here's a ball of fry. when he's protecting this ball of fry garters can frustrate the snot out of me, because it's either most of the time on the first or second catch you're going to catch them. So if you don't come through this ball of fry, it's the same theory of coming across the nest. You got a target zone right here that you're gonna become a danger. So let's just say your wacky worm comes across right here, right? And he sees it come by, and he sees it come by, and he doesn't bite it. Why? Then all of a sudden you make the right cast, and you come through with your wacky worm. What's he going to do? He's going to come in there and say, hey, you know, when he bites it, he's just really just saying, hey, you know, get out of here. He bites it. Intimidation. It's like throwing a punch. He's not really hungry. He's not really eating. He's just kind of intimidating, and he's going to bite it. And we set the hook, and we think we got a bass because he was hungry. No, it was just an aggressive bite. All right, so again, bass fry, like when you're throwing, you know, in the fry, you got to make a right cast. Now, understand this, is that when it comes to topwater is very good towards the latter part of the year, okay? When I say latter part of the year, let me correct that. Latter part of the spawn, okay? That's when your topwater starts to get dominated, okay? And the later in the spawn, the higher in the water column that they're going to come, okay? So towards the latter part of the year, the fry are going to come up towards the surface. You're always going to be looking for shade, guys. I cannot stress this enough. Always look for the shade, okay? It might be a basketball-sized piece of shade, but that bass will take that fry and kind of corral them like a blue heeler corralling his cattle. That's what that bass is doing. He's actually corralling them up. He's got them in the shade. He's got them where it's nice. He's got them where he can rest up, get away from the sun. So shade is always going to play a big role. But what I'm getting at is later in the year, those fry are going to come to the top, okay? They're going to come close to the surface, and which a wacky worm kind of comes out of play. A wacky worm is kind of that foot to 2 foot during the fry guard season, and then as they start getting late in their season, they start coming up towards the surface. Then that's when that top water bait coming through that ball of shad, coming over that ball of shad, he can't stand it. He's got to protect it. He's got to go get his kids, and he's like, stay away from my kids. Now, I do want to say this, is that most of, and I mentioned this earlier in the in this video, there's a danger to getting hooked on fishing for fry garters. And what I want to warn you about is this, is that typically your fry garters are still going to be your your smaller bass. I'm not even going to put a weight on it. It's going to be your smaller bass. Now, don't trump me. Don't sit there and comment and say, I've caught, excuse me, I've caught 5-pounders, fry garters, 4-pound fry. You know, there are 4-pound males, and I have caught some big ones fry guarding, okay? I'm not going to deny that. But the majority of the time, guys, when I discuss something, it's always majority, not minority, okay? So fry garters are typically going to be your limit fish. They're going to be, you know, a good, maybe you're going after a good check, a good finish. But typically, you cannot win tournaments on fry garters. And the danger of that is that you can get sucked into a fun time of, having a good time, getting lots of bites. But guys, don't expect to go out there and catch, the winning grade fish, because most of those are females, and most of those are going to be wherever they go after the spawn. We can get in a discussion, and actually, my next video, guys, you're probably going to love this video. I'm going to break down this time of year when you're fighting in your head with, should I go shallow? Should I go deep? Where are they at? Should I go mid-range? I don't know where the bass are. Okay, that is a very frustrating time of the year, and that video is coming out next, okay? So just hang tight, that video is coming out. But bass fry, okay, can be an addicting thing to do, but it's not going to win. You're not going to come away with a win. You're not going to come away with strutting like a turkey in the springtime. You're just not going to do it. So be careful on this game. Guys, fry garters are, again, a fun way of fishing. Just understand where they're typically at. I gave you two choices: wacky worm and some type of topwater. It could be buzz bait, it could be a walking bait. And I do want to tell you this, is that when you are throwing the walking bait, don't move it fast. If you're fishing for schoolers out in the middle of the lake, I'm going to suggest work it fast. Y'all like that sound, don't you? But when you're in the spawn time of the year, don't get in a hurry, because you got to allow that topwater bait, whether it's a buzz bait, whether it's a walking bait, you got to allow that bait to intimidate that bass as a threat to the ball of shad. So if you come across the ball of shad like that, he watches it go by and he's like, nah, he didn't eat none of my kids. He's not a danger. He's just a passerby. It's like watching somebody go down the highway at 80 miles an hour. He's not a danger. But if you have somebody creeping by your house, it's going to draw attention. Hey, why is he going 5 miles an hour and looking at my house? And then you're going to take action. Same thing is with bass fishing when it comes to fry garters. Don't get in a big hurry. Just be slow with your top waters. Same thing with a wacky worm. Once you figure out where he's at, once you figure out what he's doing, guys, understand this, is that fry garters, fry balls, and here's one last thing I want to tell you, is that when you're looking for them, basically it's an orange glow or a reddish hue. I don't know why, but you're looking for, if the water's really clear and all of a sudden you see fuzziness, you see something that's doesn't distort, that's probably a ball of fry, okay? And that's what you're going to key in on. If you see that cloudiness, if you see that reddish, orangish looking haze, make a couple more casts about it. Focus in on it. You're probably going to see a black tail. You're not always looking for fish when you're looking at ball of fry. You're going to see streaks of their black tail, just movement, something to indicate. If you do, work it over. Fry garters are pretty much, if he's an aggressive fry garter, he's going to bite within the first 5 casts, okay, if you present it in the right way. Not to say that you can't sit there and work for him, but you can get hung up just like in sight fishing for him. So, guys, I appreciate you guys chiming in. Let me know in the comments, what do you want me to talk about? This discussion stuff, I enjoy doing this discussion. I hope you guys learn a lot through it. I hope you enjoy my drawings. Again, if you're new to the channel, go back, surf around a little bit. I got some content. I'm just new to the YouTube world. I think this is really my 8th month in trying some of this YouTube world. You guys have been great. Love your comments. And until next time, we will leave you with the outro.